It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. Every room runs a test on you. It never announces itself. It arrives as an interruption that slices your sentence. It shows up as a deliverable that drifts 2 days without consequence. It cracks a joke at your expense and waits to see if you laugh to keep the peace. These are not accidents. They are probes, cheap pushes to weigh your spine. If the push costs nothing, the next shove will cost you everything. Your time, your credit, your sleep. The man who is easy to cross gets crossed until his calendar is rubble and his name is rented by strangers. The costless test begins small. In a stand-up, someone talks over you. You smile, let it pass, and tell yourself you're being collaborative. In a week, they own your speaking time. A vendor misses the date and apologizes with charm. You wave it off. In a month, the miss becomes policy. A friend makes a public jab and calls it humor. You shrug. Soon, strangers learn your name is safe to mock. Power measures you by what you price, not by what you feel. If crossing you is free, it becomes the shortest road to resources. Your fear is to look harsh. Their fear is to pay. Only one fear governs behavior. When you tremble at clarity. When you soften every edge with explanations, emojis, and extra chances, you train the room to choose their comfort over your standards. They will not hate you for long. They will simply budget around you. But if the fear runs the other way, if your standards carry visible cost, people grow careful. They watch their dates. They measure their jokes. They arrive prepared, not because they love you, but because they respect the invoice they have seen before. Clarity is not cruelty. Clarity is the opposite of ambush. You declare the speed limit in daylight before anyone drives. You say, we start on time, 2 interruptions per person, then hands. You say, miss 1 deadline, we compress access next sprint. You say, public jabs earn a public record. Repeat and you sit out the next meeting. You are not angry. You are audible. You are not dramatic. You are documented. Fear belongs to consequences, not to your face. You can speak softly when the ledger speaks loudly. Announce the pact. Publish standards in daylight. Enforce once with receipts. Move on. Write them where everyone can see. Start times, deliverable formats, decision clocks, credit rules, no sermons, just lines. When a breach comes, you do not wrestle in the mud of motive. You point to the page, apply a proportionate penalty, and return to work. The first enforcement matters more than the 10th. It teaches the room that your words are stone, not steam. People who value order will move closer. People who crave loopholes will drift away without a war. Practice this in small moments. When your sentence is cut, you reclaim it. I'm finishing this thought, then it's yours. When a deadline slips, you change access, not tone. Next review requires the artifact 24 hours early. When a jab lands, you hold the silence, then set the boundary. We're keeping this professional. Log the update. Each move is simple, unemotional, and remembered. The point is not to win an argument. The point is to set a price and let the market adjust. You will be accused of coldness. Accept it. The warmest gift you give a team, a family, a city, is the safety of visible rules. People sleep when standards stand guard. They create when meetings start on time. They respect when credit flows in daylight. Be the man they do not cross. Not because you explode, but because you never need to. Your calm hides a tariff. Your smile sits on a gate. The tests will keep coming. Let them. That is how rooms learn. And when they learn, you will not need a throne or a speech. You will need a clock, a ledger, and the will to use them once. Publish standards, price trespass, enforce once, steal before silk. You were taught that niceness earns safety, that if your voice stays warm, the knives will stay sheathed. In politics, in offices, in families, this is the cheapest myth to sell to the conscientious. Kindness without teeth is a tribute. It becomes a subscription. Others renew on your time. They flatter you in public and bill you in private. Extra tasks slip onto your plate because you're reliable. Credit blurs because we're all one team. Your calendar is stolen in 10-minute bites that become your evening. No decree was issued. Only your softness was noticed. Read the choreography. Before the scope lands, praise arrives. No one documents like you. Translation, you will own the dead spreadsheet. You're so flexible. Translation, your rate is negotiable, theirs is not, you're the glue. Translation, you will patch the cracks quietly. The extraction is gentle because it learns you prefer gentle. Detach goodness from gullibility. Keep your warmth, add price, post terms that survive flattery. Happy to help for 2 hours, beyond that we will rescue you. Yes, with a change order signed. I present once, ongoing ownership requires a head count. You are not becoming cruel, you are becoming legible to people who think in levers. Watch what happens when the bill appears. Users complain, allies adapt. Your no becomes believable because it arrives calm and early. You do not defend it with biography. You point to the policy you wrote when you were clear-headed. The room will try the old levers. Praise, urgency, just this once. Smile, repeat the terms, and ask which trade they prefer. If they walk away, the price protects your future. If they stay, your standard just train them. Next comes transparency theater, the pleasant lie that oversharing makes you trusted. You pour out context to prove you're reasonable. You narrate your process, confess your anxieties, attach your childhood to your roadmap. Manipulators ask for more context because context stalls decisions and harvests information. Every extra paragraph you provide feeds their map of your thresholds. While you are busy explaining, they are quietly negotiating resources with the one person who signs. Switch from diaries to decision pages. Bring artifacts, not feelings. 1-page problem, 2 options. Their costs, owner, deadline. Attach proofs that bite, unit numbers, a working demo, a pilot result. Nothing that invites sympathy, everything that forces choice. When someone asks, how comfortable are you? Answer with arithmetic. To hold date we cut Y, to hold scope, we add budget. Silence selects Y on Friday at 4. Transparency that moves clocks is governance. Transparency that drains you is theater. You owe them a plan and a proof, not a confession. Learn to treat give me more context as a tactic. Offer 1 sentence for the record and redirect to the hinge, history and appendix. Decision above. If the chorus persists, declare the price of delay. Another week of understanding costs. Revenue X and burn sprint Y. Approve A or fund B. The room that wanted your story will grumble. The room that owns the purse will listen. Appear open where it helps. Be governed by the date that binds. Finally, the sweetest shackle, forgiveness reforms character. You rush to reconcile so the air clears, and you erase the only signal that teaches the cost. Premature forgiveness equals free repetition. It teaches your offender the exchange rate. Breach, speech, reset. They become faster at apologies and slower at change. You become the sponsor of their habit, funding it with your peace. Prepare the ground for penalties that reset the rate. 1 recovery, not a revolving door. Structure it in 4 parts. Disclosure, restitution, constraint, review, disclosure. The full map of harm, nothing hidden. Restitution, repayment that touches pain, money, time, public correction. Constraint, rules that bind the risk, reduced access, supervision, smaller scope for a period. Review, dates where performance is measured by records, not words. Put this in writing before the apology dries. If they refuse any part, exit as policy. If they complete it, the bridge stands once. Grace without price breeds contempt. Grace with price breeds order. You hesitate because silence after a hard boundary feels like exile. Understand what you fear, not their anger, but a room that stops praising you. You will survive it. In the quiet, real support appears, the person who aligns with your posted terms, the partner who pays before the reminder, the teammate who adjusts scope when they add an ask. They could not find you while you were busy being accessible to everyone. Your standards are a lighthouse. Only ships that respect rocks dock safely. Design incentives, then disappear your need for comfort inside them. Write 3 phrases until they are your breathing. We align after our price. This kills chloroform consensus. 2 options, 1 deadline. This kills context theater. Here is the posted consequence. This kills free repetition. Deliver them softly, identically every time. You will look rigid to those who plan to bend you. Bridges are rigid, that is why they carry weight. Audit 1 week. Mark every moment your kindness had no price, every meeting where more context produced no movement, every breach you forgave before a cost was paid. Replace each with a lever, a price board, a decision page, a penalty ladder. Train yourself to stop narrating motives and start moving dials, budgets, calendars, access. If a request arrives wrapped in praise, ask for the trade. If a leader asks for your comfort level, answer with constraints and cost. If an offender asks for a clean slate, offer the structured bridge and nothing else. This is not a call to ice over your heart. It is a call to fit it with armor that closes at the sound of old songs. Niceness can stay. It now lives behind a gate. Transparency can stay. It now speaks in proofs. Forgiveness can stay. It now follows payment. You will be quieter, steadier, less available to harvest. You will also be safer, faster, and more trusted by those who count on outcomes, not lullabies. Warm voice, posted terms, paid debts. The door you avoid opens by itself. In the dim corridor behind your eyes, the shadow keeps a quiet hand on the levers you refuse to touch. When the room turns cold or sweet, those levers pull. If you do not name and price them, enemies will use them to steer you. Approval hunger is a handle. Watch how silence or praise turns your spine into soft wire. A supervisor skims past your idea with a blank face. Heat blooms in your chest and you begin to sell what was already clear. Online, a famous account replies and your plan dissolves into their orbit. Signal becomes steering. You over-explain to earn warmth, over-deliver to stay invited, undercharge to be adored. Install a 2-minute pause and a 3-line rule before any concession. When a brow lifts or a reply stalls, let 2 slow breaths pass. Plant your feet, unclench your jaw, press your tongue to the roof of your mouth so panic cannot spend your words. Then use the rule. Line 1, the decision. Line 2, the reason. Line 3, the next step. We're choosing option B. It meets the deadline. I'll send the checklist by noon. If praise follows disrespect, do not sprint toward the warmth. Check the standard first. We repair yesterday's remark and confirm authorship. Then we proceed. Approval will always rise and fall like weather. Standards are climate. You set them. They set you. Write your button list and pair each with a counter reflex. Button, public flattery. Counter converts sugar to scope, 3 outcomes, a date, and what moves off your plate. Button, delayed replies. Counter, no free drafts, send 2 options with an expiration. Button, access crumbs, coffee invites, quick calls, VIP hellos. Counter, propose a 3rd option, aligned to your objective, or decline without apology. Practice until your nerves learn that quiet does not kill you, and praise does not own you. Avoidance is a tax, and the interest compounds. You dodge firm lines because you confuse kindness with softness, but boundaries are the ribs that let kindness breathe. Open a ledger and name the debt in numbers, not feelings. You accept tiny tweaks without definition. Cost 10 hours, 2 late nights, 1 broken promise to yourself. You let authorship slide for team harmony. Cost a missing credit line and a softer review. You keep a weekly meeting with no owner and no outcome. Cost 3 hours a week to nowhere. You avoid asking who decides by when. Cost 7 days of drift that return as weekend work. Multiply by quarters, multiply by years. See how courtesy turns into a ceiling. Convert anxiety into a visible cost table that demands action. 1 screen, nouns and numbers. To deliver X by date Y, we either drop A or add B. Definition of done equals Z. Owner Fatima. Decision by Friday. If undecided, project pauses. Authorship, list contributors on the release note. When pushback arrives as fog, condense it again, speak early, low, and clean. Courage is a single expensive moment. Delay is a subscription. The morning after a clean boundary, sleep returns. Over time, your reputation shifts from sponge to spine. Notice your body while you practice. Your pulse may drum and your palms heat. Let them, the feeling passes. The ledger remains. You are teaching your nervous system that truth can be spoken without losing belonging, and that if belonging requires self-betrayal, it is a trap, not a home. Now the abandonment panic and over-repair, the reflex to fix what you did not break. Someone misses a promise, grows distant, or goes vague. Your chest tightens, your fingers race to offer discounts, soften deadlines, and apologize for requiring standards. You call it loyalty, predators call it logistics. Delay cooks your anxiety until you throw value into the void. Ambiguity invites you to think for them for free. Crumbs of reassurance keep you orbiting a table where no full meal is ever served. Set a floor price and a written terms habit to stop self-discounting. Floors live in money, time, and dignity. Money, the lowest rate at which you can deliver without resentment. Time, earliest and latest working hours, weekends off limits. Dignity, tone, credit, and responsiveness that treat you as a partner. Place these floors where your eyes land before your fear does. Calendar, notebook, phone wallpaper. When panic rises, do not speak. Write 3 lines, your outcome, your floor, your terms. Then send only what matches the page. 2 options. By Tuesday at this price. By Friday at that price. Offer expires Wednesday noon. If silence follows, let silence be data. Reallocate your energy to those who answer clearly. Replace rescue with enforceable exchanges. Offer templates, checklists, and referrals instead of your weekends. Here's the brief template. Jamal owns execution. I'm available for a 15-minute consultation after your scope. Create limited aid windows, 2 pre-chosen favors per quarter with clear starts and ends. When a raised eyebrow invites a speech, give a breath and a sentence. When a client says tiny tweaks, reply, list them with acceptance criteria. We'll schedule after scope lock. You will feel taller the first time you hold the line. By the third, you will feel free. Under every lever lives the same Jungian truth. What you refuse to live rules you as fate. The shadow is not trying to sabotage you. It is guarding the anger that closes the gate, the pride that rejects crumbs, the voice that sits in silence and survives it. Invite those parts to the council. Your kindness will still be warm, but it will move inside the rails. Your generosity will still be real, but it will obey a budget. Your love will still be open, but it will own a lock. Picture the next test. A face goes flat. You pause. 3 lines carry the decision across the table. A message stalls. You send options with expiration. Praise follows a cut. You require repair in terms. A manager tries to widen scope in passing. You say, to add that we drop X or extend the deadline. Some will pout when the steering wheel leaves their hands. Let them. Distance is data. Those who value clarity will lean closer because standards reduce the cost of trust. You cannot stop people from trying your buttons. You can label each, price each, and wire each to a counter reflex until the old current no longer runs through you. Then the corridor brightens. The door you avoided stays shut unless you turn it. And when you do, it opens toward a life shaped by decisions, not by wounds. Keep the standard, and the standard keeps you. The moment the smile slips, the air tells the truth. You feel it in the half-second before your name, the pause where stories are edited and masks decide what they will allow. The old bargain, be kind, be open, hangs like a paper lantern in rain. It flickers, then collapses. Behind it stands your shadow, patient, unsentimental, inviting you to see. You begin with proof, dates, a working demo, numbers steady as a drum. Then the quiet knife arrives in velvet. A colleague tilts their head. We've been circling this, and your authorship dissolves into a warm collective we. A second cut follows, disguised as friendliness. Our poet will make it pretty later. Laughter moves through the room like anesthesia. While they smile, the slide changes. Same bones, new labels. Your initials replaced by innocuous footers. No raised voice. No open theft. Only slow motion reframing under bright light, clinical and sure. You hold your posture. The ego wants a scene. The self you are building refuses to perform. Pain lands where it must, sternum, jaw, throat, and you let it land without donating it to the crowd. You watch like a clinician, because observation is power's first tool. Who holds the clicker, holds the light. Who sits at the decision-maker's shoulder controls the whisper. Who looks down at a phone performs innocence while silence functions as permission. In Jung's language, a complex flares, the old knot that ties safety to agreement and self-worth to approval. It wants to seize the wheel and beg for fairness. Your shadow steps beside you and shakes its head. Not a plea, a map. Humiliation arrives bright and cold. It tries to weld your identity to this moment. Refuse the weld. Translate the sting into coordinates. Start with an agenda. Who titled the meeting and chose the verbs that shrank your work from the decision to update. Who inserted quick contest ahead of your slot, so attention frayed before you spoke. Write names without poison. Poison fogs maps. Move to speaking order. Who opened with framing. Who interrupted without cost. Who summarized last so memory kept their voice. Market, then optics. Who sat in the projector's cone. Who hovered at the decision-maker's shoulder. Whose laptop became a second lighthouse. Finally, calendar ownership. Who briefed the principal before you. And who placed your turn after a fire drill or right before lunch, where speed erases nuance. You are not listing villains. You are locating switches. Turn the map into mechanics you can operate without permission. 24 hours before any room that can throttle a choice, send a one-page frame problem, stakes, milestones, risks with mitigations, and the definition of done in nouns and numbers. Timestamp it. Copy 2 decision makers and 1 witness who respects receipts. Place artifacts in the room before talk and repaint authorship, a milestone card with your name and date, a 10-second proof that runs without you, a checklist that defines done in plain language. Ask to open second and summarize last. If refused, publish a crisp recap within 15 minutes to the people who move budgets. Copying your witness, guard launch windows and pre-announced checkpoints, so delays carry a cost. Credits live on artifacts, not in hopes. Kindness remains, but it travels with terms. Test these switches in living scenes. In a startup, your spec appears under a strategic voice. Your counter is not a protest thread, it is a dated changelog and a short screen recording posted that morning, making theft climb against gravity. In a clinic, your workflow is folded into a combined pathway. You forward the original to the chief and one sponsor with a 3-line delta table: source, change, effect. So integration happens on record. In a family business, a cousin's joke makes you the mascot. You move from charm to terms, scope and writing, deadlines with penalties, favors logged like inventory. Pain becomes policy. Rage rises like red weather. It promises speed, the reply all that scorches earth, the speech that gathers applause from spectators who love fire and never stay to rebuild. Honor the heat as a signal. Do not hire it as a pilot. Stand where your feet are. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 6. Again. With each cycle, the flames collapse into a steady coal you can cook with. The warrior in you bows to the self. Your voice drops a note, from fire to ledger. Open a notebook and write the scene for daylight. Time, sentence, witness, consequence. 10:12, we've been circling reframed authorship. Slide labels changed. 10:16, joke classified me as ornament. Laughter summary followed. 10:23, caution line, quoted to defer date. Owners omitted, attach invites, emails, screenshots, reduce heat to lines a neutral mind would accept. This is not a diary, it is an operating record. Records turn weather into climate, and climate into policy. Rebuild identity on rules, not moods. 4 rails, no work without scope, no scope without milestones, no milestones without a public artifact, no artifact without names. Replace I feel with by Tuesday 14 o'clock, measured by X. Replace I hope with 2 options, 2 costs. Decide by noon or we hold plan A. Your sentences shorten, your pulse steadies, you become simple to collaborate with and expensive to mishandle. The inner child who begged to be spared can rest. The adult who sets terms wakes. The shadow becomes a sentinel, not a saboteur guarding thresholds, pricing reversals, verifying frames. Practice the new spine in small modern acts. A manager reopens a settled choice to stay flexible. You reply, A cost this, B cost that, choose by Friday 2 p.m., or we keep current. A peer reaches for another joke. You let silence build a mirror until the room hears itself, then continue the agenda in a lower voice. A stakeholder praises team effort while siphoning credit. You point calmly to the public log with names, dates, artifacts. No edge, no tremble, just stone. Your breath becomes metronome. Your notes become geometry. Your decisions become stones laid in daylight. Numbness follows the storm like snow after rain. Do not fear it, it is anesthesia for precise surgery. In that quiet you hear an old myth die. Be open and the wolves will skip your door. Individuation begins where that myth ends. You do not abandon kindness, you harness it. You do not banish the shadow, you seat it at the table with a job description. You will be generous and documented. You will forgive quickly and forget nothing that protects the work. The crash becomes contour. The contour becomes a course. The course hardens into a standard you can carry anywhere without apology. Morning returns with a ritual. A small card above your desk, agenda, order, optics, access. 4 switches. Before each meeting, flip at least 2. After each meeting, ship 1 artifact that can stand without you in the room. Each week add 1 lever, a channel you control, a sponsor who honors receipts, a clause that prices reversal. These are rituals, not moods. Rituals turn pain into pattern, pattern into policy, policy into peace. Calm breath, clear frame, cold proof. It is much safer to be feared than loved, when of the two either must be dispensed with. You were told that likability would build a fence around you. If they liked you, they would never cross you. That fairy tale has a cost. You pay in silence, late nights, and swallow anger while others learn that your boundary is made of air. Retire it. In the world that moves budgets and careers, people do not obey affection, they obey arithmetic. They won't cross you if crossing is expensive. Respect follows usefulness, scarcity, incredible consequences. Make that law visible. From deserving to designing, stop measuring relationships by feelings and start measuring by terms. Define what is traded by when and at which gate. Deliverables, response windows, access tiers, simple, legible, written, at work. Replace a tried with a weekly 1-pager, revenue protected, revenue created, risk removed. Each line dated, owned, and tied to the next decision. In sales, swap let's chat for scope, milestones, acceptance criteria, and change control. With friends and family, trade vague availability for defined windows. I can help Saturday, 2 to 5, if you bring the supplies. The moment you specify terms, you stop begging and start pricing. Clarity becomes armor, repetition turns it into law. Center incentives over feelings. If a manager forgets your impact, deliver that 1-pager 2 days before planning with a precise task that is cheaper than losing you. If a teammate drifts, split the project into checkpoints that unlock budget only upon delivery. If a vendor slips, link payments to inspection and timelines, not promises. When someone flatters you, hear the proposed trade behind the sugar. When someone tests you, change the terms of access. You stop arguing about your worth and start altering the cost of violation. People adjust faster to numbers than to please. Scarcity by policy. You concentrate value so your presence changes outcomes before conflict begins. Specialize so imitation becomes expensive. Say less so your words arrive like invoices. Deliver at decisive moments, so timing does half the work. Example 1, inside the company. Replace constant pings with a weekly artifact that moves a metric and a single office hour for deep questions. Because you are not everywhere, colleagues prepare, your calendar stops being a buffet and becomes a reservation. Example 2, clients. Retire the quick call, offer a premium diagnostic. 1 week fixed fee, fixed deliverables, limited slots per quarter. The waitlist becomes a silent drum that speeds decisions and lifts your rate without argument. Example 3, social and dating. Decline last-minute scrambles. Host a curated dinner once a month where you connect people and set the tone. You arrive prepared, you leave on time, you say less and show more. Access to you equals access to signal. Discipline keeps scarcity honest. Prune platforms until only channels that compound remain. Publish response windows and keep them. Guard deep work like a treasury. Interruptions pay in results or they do not clear the gate. Step out of gossip loops. Gossip compounds nothing. Use measured silence as policy, not sulking. The pause forces others to package requests with evidence and trade-offs. When you speak, a short sentence moves more than a river of explanations. Weight replaces noise. Your negotiating position rises before the meeting starts, because the market already knows your price. Mercy with memory. Keep generosity, but attach it to records and one proportionate penalty. Mercy is policy, not mood. Protect beginners from humiliation. Fear wastes talent you can convert. Credit contributors loudly. Prestige multiplies effort at no extra cost. Forgive a first miss quickly, when the remedy is dated and visible. Log it. Memory sustains kindness without letting it be farmed. Then define a single consequence for breaches and apply it exactly. If a vendor misses twice, rotate the contract for a quarter. If a colleague lies, escalate with timestamps, witnesses, and calm signatures. If someone disrespects you in public, choose a proportional public correction, a factual reply, a seat moved, or a door that will not open again. The teeth are rare, fair, and unforgettable. Teach your exchange rate without drama. Rewards arrive where the charter says, penalties where the ledger says, everything else meets silence. The silence starves gossip and trains preparation. In 2 cycles, meetings shorten, emails tighten, and sorry turns into fixed. People begin to treat your time like currency and your standards like law. They do not cross you because affection is high. They do not cross you because the bill is higher. Understand what love becomes in such a city. It is not the pleading heat that begs, choose me. It is the steady warmth around a machine that runs. People admire what is useful, respect what is scarce, and hesitate before what enforces. With you, they attempt harder things because mercy has terms. They mind your time because scarcity has gates. They weigh their words because memory has teeth. You do not chase loyalty, you generate it by making defection expensive and alignment cheap. Close the fairy tale and write policy. Recast every tie as a measurable exchange. Constrain supply on purpose. Keep mercy predictable and the single consequence credible. Let clean silence invoice the careless and decisive delivery crown the prepared. Your world will align not because they like you, but because crossing you is costly and cooperating is profitable. That is not cruelty, it is governance. Raise the cost of crossing, make respect for the cheaper path. Men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand, for everyone can see and few can feel. You will set what they see. You will make crossing your lines a decision, not an accident. These are 7 rules, clear, repeatable, testable, that turn uncrossable into a policy anyone can read at noon and remember at night. Rule 1. Publish standards in daylight. 1 page, no poetry. 3 rows, what you reward, what you refuse, how time is priced. Reward, early delivery, clear receipts, public demos, refuse, hidden work, hallway approvals, moving deadlines by story. Price of time, miss a midpoint, lose priority. Miss a brief, slide a sprint, ship early, earn top placement. Pin the page where decisions live. Read it as you open the room. We reward X, we refuse Y. The clock costs Z. Crossing becomes conscious because the signal is printed before the storm. Rule 2. Own the clock. Clocks beat charisma. Set checkpoints, expiry times, and decision deadlines before debate begins. Tie each choice to a midpoint and a default path. Decision at 15 o'clock, midpoint 11 o'clock. If silent, option A ships, publish these with the agenda. When someone asks for one more round, point to time. The default moves unless a better, measured option appears. Escalation is automatic. Miss midpoint, ping owner. Miss decision, ping sponsor. Miss default, execute. You do not raise your voice. The calendar carries the gavel. Rule 3. Credit in the open. Use a public task board with 4 fields on every card. Owner, definition of done, demo date, metric. Ownership is a face, not a department. Credit follows the demo. The owner presents the measure. Schedule demos like tides. The same hour each week. When a we floats from a mouth that did not build, point to the board and the calendar. Owner, Zara, demo Friday 12 o'clock. Metric conversion 10%. Theft becomes expensive when the stage belongs to the builder and the number speaks. Rule 4. Access tiers. Price proximity to reduce noise. Decisions get tight invites with written agendas. Delivery gets broad access to files and dashboards. 3 tiers. Critical partner, general, critical. Same-day replies tied to the dial. Partner checkpoint visibility and next sprint previews. General, weekly summary. Moving up requires posted criteria. Moving down happens after a breach, automatically for one cycle. Example, a chronic derailer drops from critical to partner, loses live floor time, and submits written updates until 2 clean checkpoints. Proximity becomes earned, not begged. Rule 5, 1 proportionate penalty. Standards, then price. Sequence without heat. Standard breach, single public enforcement with receipts. State the rule and the why. Risk notes due Friday 17 o'clock to prevent Monday blindness. State the breach with dates and cost. Missed on the 9th and 23rd 2 hours of scramble. Apply 1 measured cost. Loss of sprint speaking slot for 1 cycle. Post once where the standard lives. Restore privileges with equal clarity. 2 clean Fridays slot restored. Threaten nothing you cannot enforce. Enforce nothing you cannot defend in writing. Credibility without cruelty is the aim. Rule 6. Scarcity signaling. Speak less, confirm in writing, deliver sharply, and kill off calendar favors. Requests enter 1 channel with a form and a 48-hour SLA. Meetings require an agenda 24 hours ahead. Otherwise, they do not exist. Use short blocks that end with a date. 2 items decide today. Review Monday 10 o'clock. Send receipts for action, decision, reason, measure, checkpoint. When people learn that your time is gated by rules, they bring fewer fires and more facts. Your silence starts to weigh more than other people's speeches. Rule 7. Alliance math. Map who gains if you win. Root favors that bind loyalty. On 1 page, list names under 4 headings: helps, hinders, neutral, unknown. Next to each, write what they value: time, credit, predictability, access, and what they fear: surprise, sunk cost, loss of face. Design small tribute paths that are cheap for you and rich for them. 2 warm intros every Monday for sales. First pick on marquee assets. Each sprint for design. Variance notes every Wednesday for finance. Calendar priority for maintenance windows in operations. Pay on rhythm so people protect the lane that pays them. Cooperation becomes cheaper than resistance because help earns on schedule. Run the 7 like a drill. Morning, you read the standards. The room nods because the sign is familiar. You lay the frame in 12 words. We solve churn by March 31st, measured by under 4%. You set midpoint and default. A side quest appears, the clock kills it without insult. A credit parasite tries we. The board shows a face and a metric. The demo calendar does the rest. A boundary is tested. The tier drops for 1 cycle, then a path back is posted. A breach is logged. 1 receipt and 1 consequence land, and the thread goes quiet. No scolding, just policy doing its work. There will be pressure to soften the edges. Smile, do not smudge. The page in daylight is mercy, not cruelty. People are safest when rules are visible. The clock is dignity. It frees you from begging. The board is justice. Credit finds the builder. The tiers are hygiene. Noise stops coughing in the hallway. The single penalty is education. The price of chaos is printed before the storm. Scarcity signaling saves your voice. Alliance math turns favors from bribes into bridges with tolls paid on time. Nothing here requires rage. Everything here requires rhythm. Tomorrow at 9 o'clock, you begin with daylight. We reward early delivery receipts and demos. We refuse hidden work and moving dates. Missed mids lose priority. Early ships earn placement. At 9:07, the frame lands, the clock starts, and the default is visible. At 9:18, a hungry we hits the air. The board answers. At 10 o'clock, an invite without an agenda is declined by rule, not by mood. At noon, you run tribute paths that cost minutes and buy months. At 16 o'clock, a breach post goes up. 2 sentences, 1 measured cost, a date for restoration. The room exhales because the system breathes for you. You are not a tyrant. You are a custodian of scarce time. You do not harden your heart. You harden your systems. The city believes you because the wall holds the same way twice. You will be measured by what people repeat after you leave, and these 7 rules are designed to be repeated. Publish, own, expose, price, signal, align, and ally, then rest. The machinery will walk. Daylight rules, hard clocks, visible credit. He who wishes to be obeyed must know how to command. You stop trying to be crossable. You draw the line once, and you keep it. The point is not arrogance, it is architecture. You replace apologies with standards, speeches with schedules, and hope with habits. The room calms because your edges do not move. Peace does not rely on adrenaline or applause. It prints from order the way a coin presses from a die. Quiet rhythm is the craft. Each week you walk the same serene circuit, review breaches, close loops, reward clean execution. Breaches are treated like leaks, find, size, seal, confirm, without dragging shame through the square. A missed deadline becomes a dated correction plan with a single owner and one check-in. A boundary cross earns a proportional consequence and a written path back. You praise in daylight so the room learns the currency on time, on spec, no theatrics. Messages shrink to a breath, decision, reason, next step, and you practice them when the sky is clear so they hold when it darkens. Meetings start on the minute and end when the work is set. Scorecards beat vibes, logs outlast memory. Modern arenas make the rhythm visible. Online, you publish a policy and refuse the stage. You mute bait, archive evidence, and move. In sales, you qualify early, post price tiers, and require a written case for exceptions so urgent cannot bully the number. In operations, you publish ownership and response clocks so fires cannot wander room to room. In hiring, interviews end on time, offers expire on schedule, and rejections carry dignity. At home, you guard sleep like a capital, use no-threat language, and move hard talks to daylight where temperature is low and truth can travel. Reputation becomes climate. Your predictability sets the weather. Vendors bring their best offer first because mood does not move the price. Colleagues quit fishing for favors when deviations carry visible cost. Partners plan better because you surprise less. Offenders adapt or drift away, not through public war but through simple friction they cannot endure. Fixed hours, posted terms, and consequences delivered without theater. People breathe easier around you because the forecast keeps arriving on time. The nervous system relaxes when the calendar tells the truth. Uncrossable does not mean unkind. Strategic kindness lives inside firm edges. You correct in private and praise in public. You never punish to vent or reward to buy silence. You separate friendship from evaluation so neither must lie. You hold reserve cash for shocks, backup hands for key roles, and exits that respect all sides. You decline chaos diplomatically. Not now, not this way, not at that price. You count before you cut, then you cut once. The room grows brave because the floor holds and your word is a wall. Because the frame is fixed, decisions move faster and sleep grows deeper. You do less firefighting because you do more gardening. The city of your life gains walls, gates, watchtowers, and lamps that switch on at dusk. Storms still pass, but the drains carry them away while breakfast sizzles. Peace becomes a maintenance task, not a miracle. You do not defend it, you maintain it, and it maintains you. Now make the vow, compact, steel bright, and binding. You will frame early, room, agenda, tempo, so the ground decides the fight before tempers do. You will price access to your attention and sell it in blocks with outcomes attached. You will reward precisely, clean execution over noisy effort, and you will punish once, documented, proportional, private, and quick. You will move on without theater. You will keep the weekly rhythm, review breaches, close loops, reward clean execution. You will protect your dignity first because every other dignity stands behind it. Hold the line, keep the rhythm, and let order make the peace.